Wesdam is entering its second decade of stable rule, an unexpected result of a monarch who found purpose and wisdom in his middle years. The Silmuna branch in our country has a habit of living short lives, but perhaps Caylen Silmuna will be different. Underneath his careful rule, the colonies were brought back under control and expanded. The gnolls in the ruined sea lost half their territory, despite the sinking of the Wesdam main at the end of the war, and Wesdam itself transformed from a backwater second-rate city to an up-and-coming cosmopolitan center of trade. Things are not all good, however, as the advisors of the Marquis continue to remind him of the coming conflict with the Coronites, which seems unavoidable. The Zealots, who reject the true heir of Castellos, their plague runs rampant throughout Canor. Caylen Silmuna, however, has a plan. With his holdings secured, it is time for expansion. In a meeting with his generals and admirals, a plan was laid out to wrest control of the remaining regions in the ruined sea from heathens and gnolls alike. The light of the Dame will not be forced upon them, but it will rule the lands they live. A great rebuilding of the Wesdamian navy is also necessary and has begun in the ports of Wesdam, where great ships of war prepare to take to the seas once more. They will likely be needed, as there are many within the New World and Old who will not take kindly to their ambition. This is a role-playing game of Hammurabae, a mod for EU4. I hope you enjoy. Our fleet is in a really good place. We have a pretty good solid galley and heavy fleet. Again, any major power would destroy us, but for our size, it's pretty good. Our army is not bad. We've got around, I think, 16,000 soldiers so far. And in the roleplay, I have promised that we're going to build up another 15,000 stack today. We'll probably work on that in our homeland as soon as we get access to some money, which we do have a pretty big surplus now. First time of the whole game that we do have a big enough surplus to actually invest in things. Last session, we did upgrade a lot of our cities and holdings with workshops, with temples, all sorts of things like that. Just adding to the general economic quality of Wesdam, which was very much needed. We are going to be engaging in several colonial wars. The first one of which is going to be against the Bulwari colony, right next to our holdings in Sarun. In the game, basically, certain people in the Empire were given certain claims. We were given basically only sole dominion over Sarun, which is this area here, meaning we kind of only can really expand in this area. So they've broken that, and as such, we're going to go to war with them. When we're done with the war against Bulwar, we're going to go to war against these guys over here. And then when we're done with that, we are going to be engaging in a war in the Cleave Sea down here and take some of these island territories.
Oh, my bad.
All right, it appears we have a war that we're going to have to intervene on before anything else. The Kanto have declared a war against New Gablur. That's one of our colonies. It's one of our weaker ones too. They actually have a very high liberty desire, but they're really weak. So we're going to have to go save them before we do any of the other wars that we have planned. Caylen Silmuna has some very interesting traits. He's fertile. He's a zealot. He's just. So zealot and just make him a very interesting person. I normally would play zealot as not cooperating with anyone of different religions and just being very religiously intolerant. But given that he's just makes it very interesting, because although he's a zealot, he's the kind of like really religious ruler who takes pride in not executing heretics. You know, he does the bare minimum, and generally he's, you know, a very good ruler. All right, so we are fully funding our army again, and we are going to send them to deal with the Aelantir rebels, and then we're going to send them to deal with the armies of the Dokanta, which, speaking of which, we need to enforce peace upon them. They're building up their troops. Dartax is starting to land troops in the Great Ording. There's about to be a giant war between Ording and his alliance in Laurent. We were asked to join, but were offered basically nothing. We did consider a separate war, but Alisna made it clear we would be attacked if we did so. So we are staying out of Canori politics, which is probably a good thing, to be honest. Every time we've gotten involved in one of those wars, we've gotten so screwed, it's ridiculous. So it's really probably for the best. Well, leading men apparently is just a bad idea in Ambanar. We just died, so we've got... Fuck. All right, we're gonna go with the Dame the whole game, unless something really crazy happens, so we're always gonna go for them. All right, so again, Marquis Lawrence the Silmuna, he's competent, he's a 544, he's very strict. So we're gonna say he's a very militaristic guy. Again, we do have the Brian Silmuna War College in Wesdam, which is basically the world's most prestigious and pinnacle war college. So it would make sense that perhaps he just, you know, did a lot of studying there rather than anywhere else in his youth, and he's going to be a military man. That fits in nicely. He's obviously not a zealot like his father, but given how religious Caylen was, he would have been brought up understanding the importance. As normal as it is to see dwarves working as craftsmen, it is a rare occurrence to see a market totally dominated by a small group of them. This is exactly what has happened in one of our provinces, where a dwarven craftsman has established a workshop along with a group of their apprentices. This tied exactly into that roleplay we had from that one guy. That's amazing. Outcompeting the rest of our local artisans. While the artisans have complained, there's no doubt that this is an excellent opportunity to commission from the dwarves a work of craftsmanship. We've got the money for it. We like the dwarves, so why not? The magisteers of our realms have begun using their increased wealth and power to buy land in alarming numbers, not only for private residence and institutes of magic, but for founding their own businesses, organizations, and other sources of income. Some courtiers allude that this might be a greater ploy for the mages to undermine the power of the other estates in the country itself, or it could be the natural way of things to go when people get rich and powerful. I mean, that's fine. We're not hostile to them or anything. In terms of our debate in Parliament, we are going to go for restricting imports. So we do want to protect our domestic trade supply, which makes total sense given the current state of things. We'll bribe one of our MPs and we'll get that passed in Parliament. All right, we're just going to end this war. This is a waste of our time. We have other things we need to be doing. Mechanically, the game is kind of screwing us here, so I'm not too sure. I'd like to take their territory for daring to attack our colony, but it appears, for some reason, the gods themselves are intervening to ensure we can't click the button needed to do so. So, in that case, we are going to have to go deal with those rebels, and then after that, we are going to perpetrate our war on our enemies. Bucelar does not have really any fleet, so we should be completely good when it comes to that. We may actually have to use our... Would it be a conquistador in Ambenar? I don't know if they have a different name for it, but we literally can't see part of their territory, so we'll have to do that. So like I said, there was a giant war, basically a planning for the future of Wesdam done in the roleplay by our father, who's now dead. And he basically enumerated that we need to really control the rest of Saruin, which is basically this whole area here. So we're going to fight a war against Bucelar and their colonies, then we're going to fight a war against the Chinana. When we're done with those wars, we will fight our second and hopefully final war with a mix. But we're going to need a very powerful navy to do so. Shit. We're going to get there too little, too late. They're going to screw up our cannons too. That's unfortunate. We made a really big military fuck up there. The vampires organized themselves into a new organization called the Blood Court, which tries to influence mortal affairs while ensuring their existence is kept secret from the masses, and have invited their counterparts here in Wesdam to join the organization. We'll say yes. Like, we wouldn't be making this decision. The vampire group within Wesdam would be making this decision. They would want to do that.
As you understand, our empire is in conflict with that. We want to try and bring down that power, because honestly, at the moment, that's just too big. All
right, the forces of Valor Point were pushed out, and we took the majority of the land. The Republic will just have its capital city and nothing else. We will leave them with that. Next, we are going to deal with the Republic of Thielvis, which also declared a war upon us and take the majority of their southern territory. And then once that is done, we are going to march south to deal with this. There was a war wizard in charge of their country. It appears he is dead. So now there is a 10-year-old regency for this death cult. So we're going to deal with this war wizard's child, their spawn. And once we are finished with that, we are going to be able to do the war of the Chinana that we've been trying to do for 2 sessions now. Where is it?
I ain't giving up my claim to this. Arg, never. We need the gold. You already have gold. Arg, what do you have planned out here?
Greetings. We have been planning a war of the mix for quite some time, and we were only just freed up to be able to do so.
Same with me.
Wonderful.
You let me get me gold.
Christ, you have so many ships. That's insane.
Yeah. I was going to be saying I'd be fighting to defend what's mine out here.
It's completely fine. Our old treaties with Nothalair still stand, so.
Yes, I'd be getting this gold to expand the bank. Now think of all the precious metals we have.
Certainly. Nuga Blair has just gotten themselves a hold of a large contingent of gold that we took from one of the republics there who were foolhardy enough to declare a war against us.
Who the fuck?
Nuga Blair, it is our colony to the west.
Oh yeah, of course. I should have. How didn't I know?
You seek to take lands in the ruined sea, yet you knew nothing of the people here.
Yes, of course. How did I know nothing about this this colonial nation with no Westamites? Yes, so how did I?
All right, I'm going to send my soldiers in to try and take out the remnants of the Minx's army.
Arrgh, I wish you luck against the Knolls. We hear they be biting and clawing and scratching and kicking.
They are brutal people. Have you fought them on naval yet? Have you fought them on ship?
Narg, I cannot say I've had the pleasure.
My ancestors tell tales of their ferocity.
Well,
you know, the great Wesdam Navy was sunk by them.
Must not have been much of a navy.
You need a port? Oh, they're hitting your navy right now.
That's not good.
I'll bring mine in to help you.
Every ship's at like 2% health.
I'm coming. I have a really, really good admiral as well.
I ran.
Oh, fuck, dude, I went in! Holy shit! You gave me a heart attack thing!
Arg! I needed to do it because my ships were on at like 30%
I understand.
health. So I put your ships in the front. That'd be I'll be seeing you. It'd be a pleasure doing business. I wish
You as well. Safe journeys, my friend.
Arg.
It's always good to speak with the Nothalaries.
Alright, we'll be using this gold and the spices to be. Well, I think you know what people do with gold and spices.
Make money, indeed.
Arg.
All right, we have also succeeded there. We entered into that war at the perfect time in order to make use of the Nothalaries navy. We did intend to fight a war of the Mix, but I was going to upgrade my navy a little bit more. Thankfully, we were shielded by the Nothalaries navy and able to take many more concessions from the Knolls, something that we'd been seeking to do for a long time. We have now almost pushed their influence out of the Ruined Sea entirely. I think they have like 1 or 2 more places. We'll go for the Recruitment Act, which is going to give us access to 25% more sailors and a reduction in our naval maintenance, which is wonderful considering we do want to massively upgrade our fleet from its current standpoint. So that is wonderful. We are actually in like finally good shape as Wesdam. Like we're actually in pretty good shape right now. Never thought I would see the day, but we have arrived there. All right, we are getting all of our armies completely prepared to do our last major colonial offensive for probably the near future, which is going to be the Chinana. These are all the wars that we've really needed to do for the last 2 sessions that we just haven't had the chance to. So this war is still going on with Laurent. Laurent appears to be losing, but it's pretty intense. Let us begin. Who are they at war with? We are going to hit them without a general. We should still win that. The state of our troops are a lot better than they have been in the past, but they're not fantastic. Apparently there's a league war that's about to happen. The Coronites versus the Regent Court, which is just Wex and Woodwell.
I have a question to the Wesdam, yeah, whatever your
Ambassador, yes. What can I do for you?
You said you lay claim to the entirety of Sorin. Does
Correct.
that include the Aelantir Sorin?
It most certainly does.
So we can expect future conflict there?
We are aware of our circumstance and being unable to fight them. I personally don't hold a lot of ill will towards elves. There are many back home, but yes, there was a treaty. Again, I do apologize, gentlemen. It appears that both myself and my liege have been assuming that you were aware of documents, but perhaps you were not privy to. Allow me to illuminate the situation. Back in the day, before the current Council of Aelantir, there was the Imperial Conclave on the colonies, a situation that my ancestors had to fight for, which was a very complex affair. During those meetings, it was determined where a map was created with the Imperial colonial nations regarding who would lay claim to what. All of Sarun was that which was given to my house and which we still use as a valid casus belli to claim this whole region. The region of Gablair and of the Isles was not in that, but we did happy to get that land after the Christoph Bank, which is independent of my government, colonized it, and we did seize those lands from them. So this region is, in our eyes, rightfully ours in the right of the Empire. The Aelantir, of course, are not in the Empire, so they would dispute that, nor is the Guild, and nor is the Mestakardu. But you must understand that the Empire is a situation where we do not wish to anger others, and we will attempt to avoid colonizing regions of our fellow Imperials. So my deepest apologies for us acting on information that you clearly did not have. So I hope this makes you understand our position a little bit.
No, we completely understand, and your show of goodwill is much appreciated.
Of course.
I have received a private message here from
So guess.
the Empress Lithiel here.
Again, so if you want to convey the message I get, we have great respect for the Aelantir, and they warned us. This is an ambassador from Wesdam.
Greetings. We expected your arrival. But not so
I would
soon.
imagine so. I must say, this is a very poor way to conduct diplomacy, given we have received no formal ambassador from the Aelantir. Is it the position of a great empire to attempt no diplomatic actions before taking very extreme measure?
We must say we have our own issues to deal with. But regarding your sudden and very aggressive expansion...
Out of roleplay, before we continue, I've been made aware that a lot of people didn't know about something I thought everyone knew about. Do you know about how the council divided up the New World with who could colonize what?
Excuse me?
This is an out of roleplay thing. There was an imperial council from the empire. Okay, no one knows about this. I thought everyone knew about this thing. I'm going to get a copy of this so I can send it to people, because this is an important map that no one knew about. And I think it was supposed to be, I guess, hidden, but we're gonna publish it. So, I do apologize, Great Empress. It appears that there has been a miscommunication, where when Wesdam thought that there was public knowledge regarding the spheres that the Empire had laid claim to. The region of Saruin, which you obviously have territories in the south, was that of which Wesdam had the right to claim and to colonize in the light of the Empire and in regards to the Empire. Obviously, with the destruction of the Colonial Diet and the rise of the Council of Aelantir, this has changed, but we do sit upon this as a valid claim to the region. I assume you were angered by our conquest of the land there, of the Chinana, but in our eyes, it was a valid conquest, as we were given rights to claim and colonize this entire region by the Empire.
So a council of private imperial nation have decided how to carve up Aelantir without
The southern region,
even
yes.
notifying the council of Aelantir, the council that was supposed to be made to actually discuss these kind of matters.
I understand, and that is why I am here to make you aware of the situation and why we have taken this action, as it appears that this was not common knowledge, which we were not aware of.
You do realize that that agreement has no legitimacy. So, with other words, the Empire have decided to draw up the borders, and whoever disagrees with it is an enemy of the Empire. Do I understand?
Not
correctly?
necessarily. Again, you did not own the territory that we just took. We have no desire to dispute the territory you own in Saruin. That is yours, of course. But the war against a tribe here, in order to take their land, is righteous, as you did not take it yourself.
Yes, I understand you're a member of the Empire, but that doesn't mean your Empire extends to the whole world, especially to Aelantir. So,
we do not think that either a great empire in Aelantir has the right to simply claim all the world for themselves either.
we have not claimed all of the world. In your conquest of those natives, we specifically mentioned a single territory or region that's highly valuable or interest to us.
Yes, it is very economically valuable, and we are aware that is what is the main issue here. However, again, it was not your land, and we do not see a right for you to take it.
Well, we will bring this issue to the council then. Seems
You're
like.
welcome to do so, but again, we stand upon having a very reasonable claim to do this.
We don't
I
have
will say before I go, it is clear you feel very strongly on this, but also Wesdam does as well. I will say this was not meant as an insult to the Aelantir or anyone in the in Aelantir as a general, as the whole. But regardless, it does seem that we will not be able to solve this diplomatically, which I do understand.
Yes.
Let's keep expanding our dockyards. We're gonna need a very large fleet, and I mean a very large fleet. So let's keep working on that. We should have more ships being built right now, somewhere. Yeah, we've got a lot more coming, and I'm going to commission a flagship when we can afford it as well. This was most of the conquest I wanted to do. New Gabalair, the Isles, Saruan, and then we are going to... I did want to go for this, but I assume this is protected true. Just to give some background on what's like being talked about, there's this thing called the Council of Aelantir, which is basically this like assembly that's supposed to resolve issues in like this whole continent. It's being used very tyrannical by certain groups to basically just enforce their will and to... Like, in the original voting, the first thing to be voted on was whether votes would be given based on country or on development. Wesdam doesn't have much respect for it, to be frank. We'll kind of only follow it when we have to. We don't really see it as a valid body, especially since they're already part of the Empire. What I was looking at Dames here, what even is it? Deposit typically falls on the world on the 10th month. Tier fall said to be made from raw magic itself. Dames tier is the lifeblood of magical praxis. It empowers spells and their casters and enhances weapons and armor. In later century, the Dames tier would underpin the technological marvels of artificery. Fiercely coveted, its scarcity is often as central to the conflict of mages and artificers as a struggle between old power and new. Interesting. So it's very important for artificing then. I get why it's so powerful and why Aelantir are willing to start a giant war over it, I guess. Thieves Guild grows in power. In a string of consistent thievery all across Madalair, the Thieves Guild there have become much more daring in their targets, no doubt using their ill-gotten gains to improve their tools, contacts, and tactics against the good people of the province. Well, let's go ahead and see if we can find some adventurers to go deal with that. So what do we need to do now? We can't fight any wars due to the elves in the west. We have very strong colonies, which we're going to maintain, and there's a religious war happening. So we're going to bring back our armies from the colonies. We're going to expand our roster of soldiers, and we're going to begin to drill. And then we are going to work on expanding our navy as large as we can get it in addition to this. That will be our plan for the near future, I think. Our country is going through an extensive social reorganization. Aristocratic lands are hugely being reduced, and promises have been made to lessen the peasants' burden. A consequence of the liberation of the serfs, who compose a large portion of our population, is the hostility reaction of the nobles of our realm. We'll do the reforms anyway. We have really nothing else to use our admin tech on, so let's go ahead and try and complete the centralization ideas. Central tax code, and then we had meritocratic rule as well. So we're doing a lot of just governmental administrative reforms, which are fantastic. The Rebellion Society are known to sometimes hold debates with those outside the society. Now it seems that Marquis Lawrence VI has been invited to one such event. Many members of the court are also attending, and has now become one of the most anticipated events of the season. Be warned, however, the participation event is mandatory. One must debate, not listen. A number of incidents reported in Modgate has increased as of late. It seems as if the vampires who made their lairs there have been creating more of their brethren, and their attacks grow more and more brazen. Towns have barred their gates and stay silent at night. Only the sounds of footsteps by strange pale figures echo in the streets. The populace refuses to open their doors to anyone, and terrified families pray the darkness away. That's a huge issue. Establishing colonial subjects overseas has allowed us to expand our trade while remaining in control, importing goods from lands that are essentially under Westdamarian control. As long as we supply our colony with what they need, they have no reason to start pushing gold into the hands of our enemies. Sadly, the settlers sometimes have a different opinion from our Marquis on what exactly they need. They have begun to trade with neighboring colonies and natives, circumventing trade barriers we put up to protect our nation's interests. This clearly benefits them, but whether it benefits us is highly doubtful. Yeah, we're not going to allow that. They're a colony. They'll trade with us directly. In a flash, the sky glows as bright as midday. Blinding sight and light casting the landscape in stark shadows. As bleary eyes peer up from the windows and the first croons and caws of morning echo out, a deafening crash splits the world asunder. Those who had simply turned from it, buried their heads in the pillows, are startled awake. The less fortunate are pummeled with shards of glass or upturned stones, clutching their bloodied ears in agony. The writhing billowing smoke of the crater towers into the sky, still suffused with the pure sighing glow. Cast in clear light the source of the uproar. Lying still in the wound, opened like a musket ball ripping through flesh, is a bounty beyond belief. This is a meteorite of pure Dame's-tier, ripe and ready as fruit, and begging to be plucked from its stem. The vampire hunters in Modgate, along with other adventurers, have been making a steady progress in their battle against the monstrosities hidden in the dark. They have, however, been stuck in a status quo. The vampires are resilient creatures who refuse to die easily, and the longer the hunt goes on, the better they adapt to those who hunt them. Towns are null and a halt as the populace and their adventurers deal with vampires who barricade themselves in safe houses. Villages are too preoccupied with searching for well-hidden lairs to work the harvest. Traders must hire guards to avoid being hunted down by the beasts, reducing their profits substantially. Modgate has turned into a war zone as the living fight the vampire. 10 heavies, 24 galleys, I'm happy with that. And then we have a trade fleet of 20 ships in addition. Adelar Astern, controversial protectionist. Since Adelar Astern started providing advice for the trade developments in Wesdam, internal trade has been strengthening at the cost of curtailing imports and increasing state regulation. While the decisions to improve infrastructure has been appreciated, recent suggestions have caused many influential people to question their philosophy. They argue that the Marquis is taking Adelar Astern's advice too readily, and that we should look to mutually beneficial deals with other nations rather than seeking to dominate every area of trade. Disagrees. New debate in Parliament. Charter of Trade Company. Colonial taxation. Diplomatic corps. Guarantee religious minorities. Or support the ruling dynasty. We'll go for the trade company. We'll bribe our MPs and we'll get it passed.